PDP to beg Wike over snub by Atiku for running mate as Fayose opposes party backs Southern presidential candidate. And later on the show, families of abducted passengers of Kaduna train attack raise alarm over their reported killing by abductors. I will be hanging out with Lekon Shote and Mojid Jamil. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. I'm very fine.
I've been watching you, so this is my first time of doing the same program.
Same here. I just told her she's doing well.
Yeah, I think you're doing very well.
Thank you very much. Now, journalist hangout starts now. All right, welcome back. We will start in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial nerve center, which has continued to champion innovative ideas in governance and business. In one of such steps, the state government unveiled a set of technology-driven modular classrooms with new designs. Dr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu inaugurated the 9 classroom blocks built to replace dilapidated concrete structures at Vetland Junior Grammar School in Agege. The interactive modular classrooms were improvised using standardized reusable freight compartments known as container. Before we go into this discussion, let's share the story with you.
It's the third pillar of Babajide Sanwo-Olu's themes agenda at play: education and technology. This is another milestone intervention in the ongoing transformation of the education sector in Lagos State. The governor says integrating technology into teaching and learning is what the new Wetland Junior Grammar School represents. It is the future of public schools in Lagos State.
It's made up of 9 regular classrooms, 3 laboratories, and 4 staff rooms. All of these spaces are powered by solar panel. So like they said, this whole structure is completely off-grid. We don't want any NEPA failure or any power failure. All the classrooms, I'm told, are equipped with interactive touch screen. And all the students have been given an electronic tablet to aid their learning, both in school and also virtual learning.
Built with containers, the Special Committee on Rehabilitation of Public Schools, headed by Hakeem Smith, was initiated to comprehensively address the extensive dilapidation of physical infrastructure in public schools.
We are talking about the green initiative for us to see that truly we can use some items that we thought are no longer useful. And the containers are quite durable and strong. They could actually last 50 years. We have EPS expanded the polystyrene materials that are already embedded on the containers and now finished with plasterboard, so are quite conducive.
We didn't have all this equipment before. We believe that we can use this to have a better learning experience.
The committee's focus includes the construction of new classroom blocks where there are shortfalls, rehabilitation of old, dilapidated and abandoned ones, construction of new schools in communities where none existed, and provision of students, teachers and principals, furniture and other relevant initiatives.
Also, 13 teachers and administrators of public schools in the state emerged winners of Outstanding Teachers of the Year award by the state government. The teachers went home with brand new cars.
This is a proof that no efforts will go unnoticed. We appreciate him for this, and I'm sure this is going to boost the morale of more teachers.
This is a token of the governor's appreciation for our work well done. Adedoja Salam Adeniyi, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, gentlemen, quite impressive, I must say, especially having to see Lagos State governments bring technology advancements into the education system. For you, how would this impact education in this state, especially in a place like Agege?
Yeah, I think I must congratulate the 620 pupils who are beneficiaries of this scheme. Fantastic. I mean, I've been to Vetland before, very close to the abattoir. When you leave Pensinema going towards abattoir Okoba, that's where Vetland is. So, I mean, dilapidated buildings. And you can see the innovation of bringing what we call containers, 40-foot containers, structure a classroom where you have, online real-time learning equipment there. So it's a very good initiative. And like the governor said there, it doesn't depend on electricity. They are being powered by solar panels, and the teaching equipment they have there are so interactive as we could see. They're all touch screen, and the students can also connect from their own tabs with what the teacher is saying, teaching them, even when they get home. So it's a very good initiative, and you can see that people who spoke on behalf of the students. You can see the quality of the English. And that's a public school, not private schools where people pay millions. And what do they get? So the morale boosting fact for me is that we can actually have public schools that can compete with private schools now.
All right, Eko, for you, how admirable is this? And again, let's talk about maintenance culture. How do you expect the government to maintain this brilliant initiative?
Well, I think I have an idea of the company that delivered the assets for this initiative. I think I know the CEO, and he's a brilliant person, and he's a stickler for high performance. And I like to think that if they sort of find a way to engage while this continues, I think they may be able to sustain this smart school, if you like. I'm impressed. I am really impressed. And I hope we can have more of this. It is supposed to be a model school now. And then, just like Mojis has observed, this is a public school. This is a public school, and we must commend the governor, and then the government of Lagos State. And then we can only encourage them to continue, because I would like to refer to something that happened in the state of Osun called Opoimo, which unfortunately has become something like history now. And I hope we can migrate this to all the schools, not just the model schools, all the schools. Because, like I keep saying, I was talking to somebody yesterday, the world is flat now. Whether you are physically in Lagos, you are actually competing with people in New York, in London, everywhere. So we have to have global standards in everything that we do so that we can function in the 21st century, the digital economy of the 21st century.
All right, Majid, some teachers got SUVs for performing brilliantly. It looks like their rewards are no longer in heaven.
Yeah. I think 13 teachers,
yes.
Actually. This initiative actually started about 3 years ago, where they give 2 teachers from each of the 6 educational divisions. There are 6 educational, 2 per division, making 12. So the 13th teacher this year from the special needs. So that makes that fantastic. SUV, those SUVs can be less than 30 million.
Absolutely.
So it's, you can hear the woman, one of the beneficiaries who said it's morale boosting, because you got there, driving an SUV home as a teacher, becomes a big babe, so to say. So kudos to the governor. But then I pray that this continues, and this kind of model school, I want to see it in each of those 6 education divisions in the state, so that it won't just end at Wetland. So kudos to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is, revolutionizing education in Lagos. There's also this EcoExcel initiative too, where about 420,000 pupils have tabs now they use.
To work
also,
with.
Yeah, so it's extending it to the secondary school, because the EcoExcel is for the primary and junior schools. So this one is being extended to the higher schools now. Quite commendable.
All right. The cabinet to take the last leg of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, which is now counting down to May 29, 2023 handover date, is taking shape. The Senate has screened and confirmed all the 7 ministerial nominees sent by President Muhammadu Buhari to the upper legislative chamber on the 21st of June in accordance with provisions of Section 147, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. Now, out of the 7 nominees screened and confirmed by the Senate, 3 were excused from taking questions from the lawmakers due to their legislative background and experience, in line with the tradition of the Senate. Let me come to you. Since 7 newly confirmed ministers will be replacing those who had sought political ambition. Yeah. What do you think they will be bringing to the table in this last year of the Buhari administration?
Good question. Well, I checked their backgrounds. About 1 or 2 of them have oil and gas background. One is even managing director of oil and gas free trade zone area. About 2 or 3 of them have been members of the House of Rep. One was even a speaker, and one has been a local government chairman. I'm trying to say that it's not as if they are coming without. One has been Speaker and Advisor to the President on the House of Rep. So they are coming with something, you know. Though I like to think that what they have, their credential appeals, when you consider those who they met or those who left, you know. I haven't said that. I regret to say I don't expect much for 2 reasons. Number 1 reason is that this government is already a lame duck government. They are on the way out, less than 12 months or thereabout. And we have not seen any, I have personally not seen any overwhelming impact of this government. I have not seen much on the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. Right. So, because everything depends on the leader, you know. I don't see much coming out of them. I don't think he inspired leadership. So everybody, I just see them filling in the gap, just representing their states. Since the Constitution says every state must be represented in the, that's what I expect. That's all. I don't really think anything big is going to happen.
He does not expect much.
Yeah, my thoughts won't depart much from that of Uncle Shote, because understand the workings of our civil service in Nigeria. These new guys, I don't know when they will be sworn in. They have just been springed. I don't know when they will be sworn in, but I can tell you for free that it take them at least 6 months to settle down in their ministries. So, and 6 months from now takes us till probably December, and they will be signing off probably April or May. So I don't really expect much. Even those who have been there, only very few ministers out of the 36 or the 37 we have, we can
students.
Yeah, stood out. So these new ones, wish them good luck, but I don't expect any miracle or any big deal from them, especially given the very short time frame. But some people will tell you that, yeah, some of them might excel, but peculiarity of our civil service bureaucracy, was not. The things that you are supposed to know on day one, they will hide some files from you before you even know where the exit door of your office is. Maybe it will take another 1 month. So it's unfortunate that we have brilliant sharps who are supposed to actually excel as ministers and as heads of parastatals, but bureaucracy will not allow them, and the kind of human resources we have in those ministries see themselves as a thing God, especially the permanent secretaries. Without the permanent secretary is the chief accounting officer of the ministry. The minister is just the ceremonial head. Is the permanent secretary that signs checks. The minister only gives the directive. He only gives the approval. So when some of these guys tell you some files will not move, it will take the intervention of the SGF or the chief of staff to the president. At times you see some permanent secretaries even quarreling with having misunderstandings with their ministers. And who suffers? The ministry suffers. Nigerians suffer. So I hope this kind of situation will not happen with these new ministers. I hope they can hit the ground running, but I doubt bureaucracy. I mean, if bureaucracy will allow them to have any impacts.
All right, and you also mentioned the time frame, quite short. Yeah. Nico, is that a determinant, or should we excuse them because of the time frame?
The government is supposed to be what is it, a continuum. Yeah, you know, but we have this. I was a civil servant, so I can understand what Monji is saying. You know, a minister comes and then says, in less than you have just less than 11 months.
Yeah.
And then he says he has his own ideas, and then he's going to forget about whatever the other person had been doing. Something you should be rounding up, helping to tidy up so that you can live easily. He wants to start initiating things. And then, there's still budget before the end of of December. And then he was thinking of awarding his own contracts in this very short period, you know. And by the time you find, it's not going to be something that will be enduring. It will be a spending spree, just to spend money. Don't forget, they are politicians. And there has been some horse trading. The guy who is representing Ebonyi State, remember that was the one who stood surety for Pius Ayim Pius. And then when the governor shook him, he told the courts, I'm no longer. I'm trying to tell you that these people are there for those. Somebody told me that political parties are formed to advance private interests. I don't need to say anymore.
All right, gentlemen, now let's quickly talk about our screening process for our ministers. And one very important one is not attaching their portfolios. Is this the way to go, considering the fact that we are clamoring for a better Nigeria? If this hasn't worked for us in the past years, shouldn't we look for an alternative?
We have said this several times, like Mr. Ashote said, we already have a background we already have an idea of the background of some of these ministers. So why not attach portfolios so that it will assist the Senate to actually ask them questions.
Questions,
direct
questions, general questions.
Not just general questions. I mean, like we've had instances where they will ask a minister to be, reciting the national anthem. Is that why he's going to be a minister? You can say, well, it's a particular patriotic stuff, but then that is not. It's not going to be teaching people how to recite national anthem, or issues like that. So, but can't be asking general questions. So, if portfolio, we have said severally that portfolios should be attached, and I don't see any big deal. The president knows how many ministries are vacant. He knows who and who to put there. So the moment you are hiring somebody as a minister, before you send the name to the assembly, you should attach the portfolio. But then it doesn't happen only at the federal level, even at the state levels. Names of commissioners are sent to the State House of Assembly. Rather, commissioners designate are sent to the State House of Assembly without portfolios. So, except Governor Soludo, who came with a bit of a difference. I mean, he had interviews. People actually applied to the commissioners.
That's the way to go.
And, I mean, you have to hit the ministry you want to superintend. So, and he only stopped short of giving the portfolio, but then most of them know where they would. They didn't know where they would be going before he sent the list to the assembly. So, I think we should have that kind of radical departure where we have names attached, portfolios of commissioners then designate and ministers designate. It will be it will make the job easier for the National Assembly during the screening.
All right, Eko, 3 of the nominees were asked to take a bow and go due to their legislative background, and this is quite customary of the Senate. But this has not really taken us far, and Nigerians are saying we need to have proper access to. We need to properly assess our potential ministers.
It's still in line with your previous question about not attaching portfolios. You see, I regret to, I'm sorry to what I want to say. I think a lot of people who come to governance in Nigeria are not prepared for the position as president or as governors. Because if you knew what you are going to do, if you developed your manifesto, remember our president was saying that there are some things that the APC promised that he never promised. It was a party that promised. It's telling you that the idea I get is somebody who is not prepared for the job that he is getting. And therefore, he does not even, can't remove. I imagine that, I think it's in, which country is it now? They are now appointing shadow. I think one political party is now trying, NNPP or so.
Yes,
it's
NNPP.
saying, okay, let's have shadow ministers. You examine this ministry so that if we became the governing party, then you come armed with information, you are current about what is happening in that ministry. The president or governor must know what he has, his own program. And then when he's bringing people in, he already knows what each person is going to contribute. That is the way it should be. Now somebody now comes in, and then like somebody, they ask him what is the technicalities of something, and he's now describing something else. Do you understand? And which shows he's not prepared for the job. So when you bring people in and then take a bow, is that an assessment? People are supposed to come in for assessment. Yeah. Because somebody is Bola Ige, you say just take a bow and go and sit down. Do you understand? And then that now becomes the tradition of this dispensation. Somebody must ask this to stop. You need to know who you are, and we need to know your competence. We need to have an idea of where you are likely to end up as a minister, even if there is change of cabinet at the end of the day, portfolio at the end of the day. Somehow we need to know what you are going to contribute to that government, to that cabinet.
All right, gentlemen, we still have more to discuss on Journalist Hangouts, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
It was a bright sunny day in Agbala community. The community popular jingo has just heard a rumor, and he has come to spread it to everyone.
You won't believe what I just heard,
he said.
That incident last month was not a robbery. It was carefully planned by the neighboring community.
It didn't take a lot for the people of Agbala to believe that the people of the neighboring community masterminded the attack, and off they went to war. However, only one person thought to call a friend in the community to check the information. By the time they realized the truth, nobody really remembered who brought the rumor. Fact check to be sure of the source of the information and its authenticity before spreading it or taking action. Fake news is dangerous.
This message is brought to you from the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the UK government.
All right, welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout, and I have been hanging out with Lekon Shote and Mujid Jamil. Now let's move on to other stories. Turning and turning in a widening gyre is how best to describe the situation within the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as it appears the Falcons can no longer hear the Falconers in its fold. The PDP presidential candidate for the 2023 elections and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar seems to have ruffled the feathers of some party chieftains with his choice of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State as running mate. The governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, accused PDP leadership and the presidential flag bearer of disrespecting the first runner-up in the primary. Governor Ortom, who chaired the committee set up by Atiku to help him get a suitable running mate, said Atiku and the party leadership tried to talk to Wike on phone rather than going to meet him in person. In another crack in the wall of the PDP, the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, said Nigeria's next president must be from the southern part of the country. Fayose insisted the party's constitution allows for power rotation. Hence, it is a southern president or nothing. Majid.
I watched Governor Ortom on one of the TV stations days ago. And you could see that he was actually livid with rage, and he has every reason to be. He was chairperson of the training committee to decide who the vice presidential candidate to Atiku would be. And there were 17 members. They voted 14 in favor of Wike, according to Autumn, and 3 in favor of Okowa. So, Autumn's grouse is, when you know that you already have Okowa in mind, why allow us to go and vote? We gave you a report endorsed by the National Working Committee of the PDP that Wike had an advantage in terms of numbers. Out of 17, 14 to 3. And all of them signed. And they gave it to you. You said, okay, you look at it. The next thing you announced Okowa. And you expect Wike to be happy and the supporters to be happy. So, I mean, what Otom is trying to say is that, and to add salt onto injury, he said Atiku sent some people to call Wike to talk to him. I mean, although it was on record that when Atiku defeated Wike at that primary, took the first flight to Rivers the following day. So, I mean, greet him and talk. I mean, he did same with all the other contenders that lost. But that was 2 weeks, before the issue of primaries. I mean, that was, just a visit to say, well, you contested with me, you lost. But then...
But isn't a visit enough?
No. See, if you had told him then, Wike, you can't be my running mate, it would have been a different ballgame. But you set up a committee to help you shop for a running mate, and 2 names were given, Wike and Okowa. 17 people voted. These are people of of very main repute, like governors and some NWC members of the party. Voted. It's not a vote of 8 to 7 or
it's not a close.
It's not a close contest.
But then, gentlemen, we've said it severally on this show that the candidate has the final decision. He knows best for himself.
Don't you can see that committee.
Let's look at 2 things.
All right.
Number 1, Constitution says before you can contest elective position in Nigeria, 1, you must be a member of a political party. And then 2, that political party must present you. That tells you that the political party has a skin in the game.
Yeah.
You can't just wish the political party away. And you have, I'm sure you are aware of 1 or 2 cases where a political party, or so-called presidential governorship candidate won election, and somehow
there is a bias.
Somebody else, now they are saying no. Remember the story of who won the primaries in Rivers State, and then somebody else was presented. Eventually, he went to court, and the court says the party owns the vote.
The ticket,
Therefore, put Amechi there as governor. Do you understand? So that tells you right there. And there's something we are. I think we are sketching around. There's something we need to say. Look, I told you earlier on, political parties are formed to advance private interests. Absolutely. We don't have political parties in Nigeria. What we have is just political platforms. People will be thinking of, a governor said to me that when he found himself in one of these EFCC gulags, he said, you see, they say we are working, nobody asked me to come and become governor. So I'm paying on my own. So when the advantages of being governor comes, I will take the advantages. So now that I am facing the disadvantage, nobody is coming to share this with me now. So these people are looking out to advance their own private political interests. They are seeking for political power for whatever reasons, for themselves, for their financial stomach infrastructure, upliftment, for their region, for their religion, for their ethnic group, for whatever reasons. They want to be relevant. And this is what I think Vice President Atiku seems to be overlooking. You recall in 2013, 2014, when those 7 political parties, led by Atiku, migrated from PDP and went to another political party. And that party eventually defeated PDP. I hope they are not, somebody is not making the same mistake this time around. This is the man, that's Wike, the man who practically financed the convention of 2019. Practically did everything. And the man, you may not like his politics. You may not like him. You know, his name is Yesom. I call him Tiresome Yesom Wike. But the point is this, he has worked, the Southeast and South House has invested so much inside of PDP. You have to be very careful how you play your cards within that zone.
All right, gentlemen, how bad is this for the PDP, considering Wike's silence?
It's really, really bad. You know, Wike has not been
talking.
No, Wike is holidaying in Turkey. He said he wants to relax and catch his groove.
And come back.
I understand he's in Dubai or somewhere.
No, he's in Turkey.
Oh, Turkey.
From Turkey, no, he didn't want to meet. No, Atiku is in Dubai.
Okay,
he didn't want to meet Atiku.
All right, that's right.
So, and the way Autumn spoke, Autumn said, when they asked Autumn, is he going to take a step? He said, well, he knows Wike, but for him, it's in hibernation.
He's going to pray. Right?
He's praying.
He's waiting for God.
It's like the PDP has a very, very serious problem. And the way Atiku is carrying on, it needs to be very, very careful.
It has to be very careful.
You see, you lost the presidential ticket in 2019. He went to Dubai. And he was going to school. And 6 months to 2023, he came back. Used some resources around because he has a structure. We gave him a very good fight. If Tambua had not stepped down for Atiku,
it would have been
it would have been a different ballgame. It would have been a different ballgame. And for somebody who has held this party, Wike has been funding the party in 22 states where the PDP has no governors. He has been funding it since 2019. So you can't treat him like that.
Majid, I would like you to please hold your thoughts. We have a caller. We have a day from London.
Oh, good afternoon.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. My contribution to this topic is that the way they treat my brother Wike is too bad. When PDP was almost dead, it was Wike and Fayose that stood their ground by PDP. At the end of the day now, look at the way they pay him. And though I'm happy Wike didn't win the presidential ticket, because if Wike has won that ticket, it would have been very difficult for Jagaban to win the election, because Wike is ready to spend any amount. But thank God he didn't win this thing. So Wike is in France now.
All right, thank you very much, Ade. Now, Lekon, let's leave out Wike's influence. He has spent this, he has financed the party. What exactly has Atiku done wrong? Because I would go back to saying that he knows what is best for him.
That's a very good. Repeat that question again. What exactly has he done wrong? The exact thing that he has done wrong is that significant members of the political parties, he has alienated them. And that has emboldened Oshoko to come out and say, South to Lokon. And that's significant. Don't think it's a joke. Don't think they can just scuttle the whole thing. You know, even if they can become enemy within, just for the purpose of teaching somebody a lesson.
Yeah. And you see, for Wike has a full grip of Rivers. Now, beyond that, Wike has between 700 and 900,000 votes. And you can be sure that 80% of those votes is for PDP or whoever Wike wants to give it to. So you don't joke with that kind of person, especially with the obedient movement of Peter Obi, which is going to decimate more of PDP's votes in the southeast, in the southern part of the country, and also with Kwakwanso, with NNPD in Kano Jigawa axis, it will also decimate more of PDP's votes. So Atiku cannot afford to toy with a Wike and a Fayose. Fayose single-handedly delivered most of the delegates of the Southwest, including his own state, where he was a candidate. Yeah. He scored himself 0 to please Wike. So you don't treat those people, and Fayose can make noise. It says one day that if he sees somewhere and you don't want to know that he is there, you're going to stretch his leg, uses to hit you, and you fall down. So you know that somebody is sitting down there. Exactly. You don't want, so it will make himself relevant. So you don't toy with somebody like Wike and Fayose, and Wike has a war chest in terms of cash to cause enough trouble for any presidential candidate.
Okay. In 1992, during the SDP-NRC era, when Agbala Jobi and Sarumi were fighting, and they were asking somebody to step down for somebody, and somebody did not, Yakonde, who was in prison, gave instructions that voters should vote for NRC instead of SDP.
Yeah.
It can happen again.
Yeah. And that's why Otedola became governor.
Yes.
That his name actually Ote. I mean, you are Yoruba. Ote Diola. Exactly. Today, I mean, it's very significant, and that I can see that playing out in PDP, unless they are able to resolve this issue before February.
All right, so let's look at the intrigues, the silence and everything. Do we see Wike defecting?
Wike, I don't see Wike defecting. Wike has remained in PDP since 1998 when the party was formed. It might not defect, but it might do the party in.
All right.
He has, except they form a committee led by Atiku himself to go and beg him, or rather, not even beg him, to appease him, tell him why you took that decision. That's humiliation. Okay. If you come out and say, yes, Okowa is my choice, Wike won't be angry, but you set up a committee. They voted 17 people, 14-3, and you are picking 3 over 14.
All right, let's quickly take Michael from Oshodi. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please. I'm a very serious fan of journalist Hangout, but for weeks now, I think most of these political parties and individuals that run Nigeria down, those in PDP and the APC, you guys are over-discussing the issue and you're over-hyping them. I felt we should do more of even talking about other political parties. These people grounded this country, and every day journalists they just keep talking about them, overhyping them. And these are people who brought us to where we are. Thank you, and go.
All right, thank you, Michael. Let's move on quickly now. Some groups are demanding for resignation of Senator Yochayu and other officials. Could it be because of this Wike saga?
Well, I think somebody claimed that he was fired, and then they said, no, it didn't happen. They say, you saw the presentation when Mr. Atiku Abubakar was announcing. It was obvious that the chairman was in cahoots with him. Understand? So, the friend of my enemy is my enemy. The enemy of my friend is my friend. So, therefore, politics is about intrigue. See, look, let me migrate you back to APC. What happened on the eve of the primaries? When somebody announced that somebody has been picked as a consensus candidate. Do you know that that individual who was denied by his own vice chairman, and then the president practically withdrew, and then the progressive governors, northern governors came out, well, they said it leaked, it leaked, but they took a position. Yeah. The man has not been speaking so much in the last 2 or 3 weeks after Emilokon took over got the ticket. Do you understand? Yochayu has to be exceedingly careful if he needs to continue to be chairman. And let me also add, I have no proof of anything, and I'm not saying that, I'm not making any allegations. Some people assume political positions in political parties, rather. And then for decisions to be made in favor of people, there is some nice handshakes that I'm sure you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
You know, some people carry things all around and all that. So some people profit from these things. I hope this is not the case. You know.
And another issue is the fact that the two political parties have some written conventions, some unwritten rules, where they talk about power rotation. And in PDP, there was this unwritten rule. Before they now said they wanted the best to emerge, some of them zoned, the southern governors zoned the presidency to the south, while they zoned the chairmanship to the north. And now there's a delicate balance or rather delicate imbalance in the PDP, where both the chairman of the party and the presidential candidate are from the north. So that's why some people are saying, IU must step down to allow a southern chairman to emerge.
It makes all the sense.
Which makes a lot of sense. And that even the ruling party, I mean, they were able to recognize the fact that there should be power rotation, and they have picked their own presidential candidate from the south.
Right.
So I think the call, I mean, of course, you can't say Atiku should withdraw now as a presidential candidate because he has emerged, and there are rules by INEC that, that are statute bad. They can't conduct a fresh. But then that of the chairman can still be argued. So that's why they want to make him the sacrificial lamb.
All right, Majid already took us there. The agitation for rotational presidency is raised by Fayose. If PDP refuses or does not, mend these fences, how does it impact the party, especially as the electionary campaign just closed?
If the presidential candidate does not close ranks with Wike, we have already hinted you that you can. There's something that was during the Spanish War. 4 columns of military were invading. Of the enemies were coming inside of the city of Madrid. Now, citizens of the country joined. And then they said that was the 5th columnist. I'm trying to say to you that you can have an enemy within that can score through the whole thing and then move to another party, even if we think Wike will not move. Oshoko has said openly that he will never leave PDP.
Yes.
But who says?
Other parties.
As something happened in 2011, is somebody who belongs to another political party worked for Goodluck Jonathan to be president.
And sorry, I mean the Ekiti election brings to mind what we are just talking about.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
There was no flag presentation to the candidate of the PDP. Nobody from the national, from Atiku to the chairman, nobody went to Ekiti to campaign for the PDP candidate.
But that also triggered Fayose's anger.
Fayose, on the day of the election, he did not vote.
Yes.
This Osun State.
And the same is playing out in Osun State.
Osun State. None of the governors showed up in Osun State. It's telling you something. They had better be very, very careful. If the chairman is going to be sacrificial lamb, let it be, so that for the survival of the party. Because I will say this, Nigeria must not have a singular party. We have to have at least 2-3 strong, vibrant political parties, so that one can...
No, Obi is coming up.
Yeah.
And Kwankwaso is coming up too. So
we need to have that. We can't have a one-party...
like the other caller said, it's not as if we are promoting these guys, but then if you understand politics in Nigeria, there is no way you can wish away these names.
That's right.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's move on to another very serious issue. The disquiet and uneasy calm that enveloped the fate of the remaining abducted passengers of the ill-fated Kaduna-Abuja train of March 28 has been punctured by their families. They have raised an alarm over safety of the abducted passengers and asked the federal government to help free them from captivity, following reports that one of the hostages was shot During a visit to some members of the House of Representatives, the families urged government to intensify the search for the abducted victims. Gentlemen, it's been more than 3 months now. Jude.
It's 94 days now.
Yeah, 94 days and still counting. Now, you know what these terrorists are, the abductors, what they are doing now is threatening them with snakes, scorpions, and even shoot some of them and release some of the captives to go and tell the story. One of those captives who just gained freedom said 5 days after he was released, he was having nightmares, couldn't sleep. He was just wondering what he went through in that place. And you know, the government is in a catch-22 situation, where bandits or abductors or kidnappers are asking for their members to be released in exchange for those they have held captive. So no serious government will go hook, line, and sinker and accede to that kind of demand. I mean, it takes a lot of negotiation. Even the government will prefer to pay cash than release some of their members. So it's a very difficult situation for government. But then I believe that if we have heeded the call for us to increase security on that route, despite the fact that there were threats and there were signs that that type of attack could happen. Even the fact that we also have some military men on board that train that day. Still, nothing happened. So, calls to question need for us to improve on our security architecture and intelligence gathering. Because right now, families of those who are still held in captive, I don't want to imagine how they are feeling, what they are going through. It's really, really bad.
All right, Leko, we can see these bandits are getting bolder by the day, and now they are going on with the threat of killing those in hostage. Majid has said this is a very difficult situation for the government. And as citizens, how serious is this?
Sometime in 2015, on this program, when we were still in the old studio, 2015 or 2016, I can't remember now. I think Majid was also on set that day. There was this talk about if there's request for negotiation to free some of the operatives of some of the terrorists that have been that are in custody, so that the Chibok girls will be freed. Yeah. I remember saying that if my daughter was one of those people, or those kids, I will vote that government should please swap them so I can have my daughter back. And my position still hasn't changed. You see, nobody asked you before they established police force or the army or air force, or were you ever consulted whether you needed an army or police? That is the job of government. It's Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution says, job number 1 of government. It mentions security before it talks about welfare, which is the economy. Security and welfare of the people is job number 1. Who says that the terrorist that is freed, that you say, go and sin no more, and then he goes to sin, that you can't pick him up again? But in the meantime, you already have the safety of citizens of Nigeria, that you have been elected and you swore an oath to protect. You understand? So, as far as I'm concerned, the safety of those people is paramount to me.
All right, gentlemen, now, less than 6 months apart, we've had 2 attacks on our rail infrastructure. Isn't this a sign or a symptom of a country in distress? And looking at the fact that leaders are shying away from this reality.
Our military, or rather our security architecture is overstretched. But then, we have countries that are bigger than us we need more of technology to fight these insurgents. I mean, we have been saying it several times. We acquired the Tucano fighters, but there's a constraint. The American government actually put a proviso that you can't use it to fight outside of the Northeast. And it has to be basically so how do you deploy? But then there are some other equipment. I mean, there's a limit to which we can discuss security on national television, but that I believe that our security experts should step up their game. Intelligence gathering, logistics, strategy, very, very key. We need to get more of this so as to checkmate these bandits. They are not as sophisticated as our trained men.
Military personnel.
But the resources that are made available that will provide an enabling environment for our security forces, especially those in the face of the war, which will allow these things to get to them, because some these things demoralize them at times when even their allowance, their upkeep don't get to them on time. And these are guys who are exposed to the bandits. We have some of our guys giving information to bandits, to terrorists, but this has reduced over time now. So we need to actually tighten these loose ends to ensure that we don't have a repeat of occurrence of this dastardly acts.
All right, thank you, Majid. Before I come to Lekon, let's have Olawale calling from Ikorodu.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
And God bless you. Majid, yes. I just have two brief comments. When are we going to have a shift? Successive presidents have only been sending lists of ministerial nominees to the Senate without attaching their portfolio, as you have observed. So we end up having square O in Rampeg. Most of the ministers don't perform. Okay? Look at the president has fired only one minister since 2015. That was the Minister of Agriculture for incompetence. Secondly, look, don't let us overstretch this matter. The southern governors, with due respect, they are not serious. You could remember there was one Asaba declaration. The southern governors themselves on anti-grazing started sabotaging it right from.
All right, thank you very much, Olawale. Thank you so much. Now, we have very few limited time to go on the show. Now, let's talk about data and emergency response in times of disasters like this. Lekon, how do we build on this to avert this kind of disaster? Because it looks like we are kind of weak. And these bandits can see through.
General Babangida said that we shouldn't say that the military is overwhelmed. We should say military is overstretched. There's no doubt that we need more men, we need more boots on the ground, we need more equipment. That's number one. But I doubt if we actually have the will to resolve the security issue. Somebody, a 93-year-old Nigerian, was talking to me the other day, called me, and he says, isn't there something called nav gas? Since you say you talk to them, you say you know them, you say you know where they are, and the human GPS, Sheikh Gumi, seems to be in touch with them. Somebody who had a military, he retired as a captain in the military. So he seems to, the same training that our standing soldiers have, he has had. So he's able to establish relationship and, access to them. Why don't you put the gas there? Everybody sleeps, both the abductors and the abductees. Then you swoop in, you separate them, and then it shows that you are serious.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Lekon Shote, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Majid Jamiu. That's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. You're watching ShopX TV, home to some of the most popular international brands in Africa, including Papa Chef, MyFit Jeans, Genie Bra, the Power XL Air Fryer, the NutriBullet, and more. ShopX TV has brought you the latest innovations in lifestyle, fitness, and cooking from across the globe, and we are now proud